What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to go over the brand new Titus Fusion that's going on right now. We just had the schedule drop, so we're going to go over the schedule here with you guys and break it down so that we can all get this Void Legendary Champion Titus Blackplume as efficiently as possible. So let's jump right into it. All right, folks, so here is the Fusion's calendar right here. We are on day 1, July 3rd. We have a Dragon Tournament starting as well as the Champion Training. No Dungeon Diver on day 1, back to the usual Forplarium for us. So on day 1 here, we're not going to commit our full energy into the Dragon Tournament, but we will be setting up some of our food for the Champion Training, so you could spend some time in the tavern, for example, leveling up some food, spend your daily energy and your regeneration energy on the Dragon Tournament, save all your energy spending for the Dungeon Diving tomorrow that's going to open. Keep in mind that each one of these Dungeon Divers takes about 5,000 to 5,500 energy. So we just got to keep that in mind, and we're doing that over a 3-day period. Depending which dungeon level you're doing, you want to do dungeon level 20 if you want to do it as efficiently as possible in terms of energy. So it looks like you'll have the opportunity to do the Dragon Tournament as well as the first bit of the Ice Golem during the Dungeon Diver. So that's probably where you want to spend your energy and when you want to spend it. Keep in mind that each one of these dungeon tournaments take about 2.2 to 2.5k energy, depending on how efficient you are managing your dungeon levels. So again, dungeon level 20 would be the most efficient in most cases. And then we have the classic arena takedown. That's pretty straightforward. Champion training in both Dragon and Ice Golem. There are some solo options that you can use. Some of them actually overlap. So if you're doing normal difficulty, for example, you could use somebody like Tomb Lord, and Tomb Lord would be able to handle both dungeons with food relatively easily. There's going to be other options as well. Going to be dependent on your account. And then we have, of course, the 3 artifact gear enhancement events. Each one of these events take about 20 million silver. I think that's pretty much the rough average that people actually getting. Some people say it's about 15, some people say it's 25. Usually I just quote 20 million silver each. Keep in mind that you don't necessarily need to have this right away when you start the event. You will be grinding a bunch of stuff so that you will be getting silver along the way. Now, the big thing is here, we got to check out the summoning events. So first, we got the first summon rush that's happening right here on Friday. We already know the progressive events that's going to be happening. We got Priva the Sliver, Elva Autumnborn, Fabian will be up for grabs, Uko, Zaharis, Sifi, Lady Noel, and Coppercoin will be up for grabs tomorrow for a progressive event. There will be a 2x boost on primal shards, so red shards, but there's no boost on the mythical rates. So I would suggest not pulling primal shards tomorrow, but there is a 10x for Corrosa. Again, I would not suggest to pull primal shards tomorrow for Corrosa either. Overall, it's an okay progressive event, but anyways, summoning rush, you basically want to use the biggest shards you have for the static points that they give. It doesn't matter what you pull from them. So you want to use the biggest value shards, which are sacred shards. So use those for summoning rush. You probably need about 3,000 points worth. So that's about 6 sacred shards worth of points. Now here is where this fusion gets a little interesting. There is a third summoning event here, guys, but it is extra. It is extra. Based on the amount of points, I'm going to move my head here real quick. Based on the amount of points we have in total, we have 450 points. We need to get 400 fragment points. So this summoning event is completely extra. So this is a good and bad thing. Basically, it's putting up a extra summoning rush, giving us the flexibility to skip 50 fragments along the way. So you could technically go for this second summon rush and then skip, the 2 dungeon divers along the way, or you could skip, something else. You could skip another summoning event, for example, perhaps. But it does offer a little bit of flexibility. Now, this second summon rush is happening in the middle of the week, which is, again, very interesting. There's no CVC or anything like that happening. And right now, we don't know if it's going to be a better deal or not to wait. Generally, as with, common consumer practices, usually when you buy more of something, you get a better deal on it. So I assume, just, based on logical thinking, that a summon event for 50 points, you probably get more points per shard than you do on another event with less points. So I would say, logical guess that the second summon rush, if you went full 50 points on this one, it would be cheaper than this single 25 in the first summon rush. So I think my strategy would be probably to skip the first summon rush this weekend and then go for the second summon rush and then take a quick peek at that. But the issue is, if you skip the first summoning rush, you are basically committing yourself to participating at least partially in the second summon rush, because you can't really skip anything else. You can't skip anything else. You need 400. You need 400. So if you skip the first summon rush, you are basically committed to at least half of the second summon rush. Personally speaking, I'm going to take a look at the second summon rush and then see how it goes. And we will be probably skipping the first summon rush here and participating in the second one. Now, if the second one's really, really nice, we might actually go all the way, get the full 50 fragments, and then skip the champion chase in the back half of the fusion. So that's basically skipping, 2 summoning events and then participating in 1 summoning event. You could do that. So there is some flexibility there as well. Keep in mind that the champion chase will be part of a 2x event. It's most likely going to be 2x sacreds, I believe. We just had 2x voids, and then we just had 2x ancients not too long before that. So it should be 2x sacreds, which is not the best deal on sacred shards, so it wouldn't be the best deal for this champion chase. However, we do have up to, I guess, 4 epic fusions that you could save. 4 epic fusions that you could save for that champion chase. Each one of these fusions is worth 350 points. So 4 of them gives you 1,400 points potentially. Realistically, probably 1050 points worth of epics that you can, obviously save. You can save 3, of course, for this champion chase. Plarium probably would allot for that, so this would be slightly more expensive. I would probably say around 3,500. So you still need a little bit of shards to finish this off. Worst case scenario, it's going to cost you 10 sacred shards if you're participating in the 2x, and then you don't get any legendaries out of those sacred shards. I would still recommend not using sacred shards for champion chase and instead using 10 sacred shards towards the summon rushes. For example, would probably yield a little bit better results. So now we spoke a little bit about the summoning events. They are potentially a little bit tricky, but I like the option of doing 1 and then having the ability to skip 2. And from the looks of it, the champion chase in the back half does not look very interesting, especially if it's going to be 2x sacred shards. Now let's go into the middle of this fusion here. We have the Corrosa Conquest Tournament. Now this is a bit of a pain in the butt because Plarium putting the event dungeon into a fusion. Not everybody's going to have event dungeon teams ready to go for fusion, so this kind of gatekeeps some accounts from participating in this fusion. Obviously, you can do very, very low stages and just get it done just with spending energy and gems into it. Some of the lower levels are not particularly inefficient, but they're not going to give you the best gear, of course. And then we have this champion training event, which really, really sucks because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's no dungeon diver associated with it, which is actually a good thing, of course. And then we have a spider tournament to go with the training tournament. You could definitely use some champions to solo spider with some food, so you can double dip into those tournaments as well. We do have 1 dungeon diver here in the back half of the spider tournament. It's going to pair up again with Fire Knight. So you got 2.2k here for the spider tournament. You got 2.2k here for the Fire Knight. And then you got about 5 to 5.5k here energy for the dungeon diver. So technically you can just run the spider Fire Knight into the dungeon diver and then you'll be okay. This training tournament, it's kind of like, okay, well, you can't really farm food in the Corrosa's dungeon. Pair it up with the training tournament. Not ideal, guys. Now, something else that actually pops up to me that is kind of interesting is that there's only 2 dungeon divers in this entire event. Usually there is 3. Now, this makes me think that in terms of total energy spend, this fusion actually looks more reasonable than usual, considering that we only have 2 dungeon divers instead of 3 dungeon divers. But it also makes me think that they have something up their sleeves. Maybe they're going to throw a deck of fate somewhere in the middle of this fusion. That definitely seems possible, considering that this mid part of this fusion, it seems kind of empty with just the Corrosa tournament and the trading tournament that is active. So it does seem a little bit empty. Now, if they threw some kind of Hero's Path or Deck of Fate event in the middle of this week, it probably will be Dungeon Diver paired with something else, likely perhaps Soulstone, since shards are already covered in this second summon rush here, and then training's already covered here. So perhaps it would be Soulstone plus Dungeon Diving. But that is just my speculation. We also have to be a little bit concerned about any kind of follow-up Titan event, like they did previously for the Tholen fusion, where they basically combined the Titan event and the fusion into some events near the end, and then the points were scattered inside of the fusion event. So it kind of forced you to do some of the events to get the Titan points. So we do have to be a little bit aware of that. However, this fusion calendar doesn't look like it's set up to be that way unless you want to put the Titan points in the Fire Knight or the Titan points in the gear enhancement event. If they did that, I think it would be, pretty reasonable. It wouldn't be like game breaking. You wouldn't risk losing out on the fusion. You wouldn't risk losing out on the Titan event if you participate a little bit more in the Fire Knight and a little bit more in the gear enhancement. But that's just my opinion, just something to keep in mind. But it doesn't look like we're able to skip too much in this fusion. Yeah, so it's a fragment collection into epics, and then you build up the epics, and then you fuse it into Titus, and then you got your Void fusion. Pretty standard 2-week fusion. Overall, it doesn't look too bad. We got 2 dungeons paired up with 2 dungeon divers. You can basically double dip them at the same time. The only issue here is the Corrosa tournament paired up with the training event. They don't really go well together. And something to look out for would be the midweek in the middle of this fusion. There's likely going to be some kind of dungeon related, maybe special event. That would be my guess. And of course, how you want to navigate this third extra summon rush. Like I said, personally speaking, I'm probably going to skip the first summon rush and then just all in on the optional one for 50, because I think 50 would probably be slightly cheaper than doing the champion chase plus the summon rush. And then skip the champion chase in the back half, because I don't think it's going to be super enticing anyways, because it's likely going to be 2x sacred. It's not the best event for champion chase. Everything else seems pretty standard. There's likely going to be a Titan event for this champion. There's a lot of hype going around Titus right now. Clarion did offer one final last word about Titus, basically saying that they have no intention to nerf him right now. I don't know how much, I don't know, it's kind of the same thing, right? It's kind of the same thing. We have to be aware, like buyer beware at this point, because, there's always a risk that they nerf a champion, and it's definitely possible. Based on his performance, I could see him being an issue perhaps in the future. So it is really a buyer beware situation. I think not going for him, if you have the capacity to go for him now, and if he helps you immediately in key areas, like I would say the most key area is Hydra, I think that's doing yourself a disservice, because you're not able to maximize your damage with this without him. But our fun time with him might be limited. I want to say that right now, but you never know, right? Like, they have some issues that they are clearly aware of, and they don't really jump on it right away. So I could see them not doing anything about it, but the looming cloud, I'll say, is always there. Anyways, folks, that's going to be it for this fusion breakdown. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are going for Titus. I strongly recommend you guys do, if you guys have the capacity to do so, and if you guys want to increase your Hydra damage down the line. Getting the champion is always the hardest part. As long as you have the champion, you will always have the option to do certain content to certain levels. That will be my final say on that. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you guys in the next video.